What if today is God's last warning, and you just ignore it? Have you ever stopped to think about it? That maybe right now, while you're going about your routine, the sky is trying to wake you up, and you didn't even notice? Billy Graham warned, "The greatest danger of spiritual life is not rejecting God. It is ignoring Him every day, in silence." How many times have you felt something was wrong but couldn't explain it? That even though we were praying, looking for answers, it seemed like heaven was silent? This is no coincidence. Maybe this silence is the loudest scream God has ever given. You may be living an entire life off purpose. He works, strives, seeks success, stability, but inside, he carries an emptiness that money cannot fill. Billy Graham said, "There is no true peace outside of God's will." And the question is, are you really living what heaven wrote for you? Many only realize that they were astray when it is too late. This video could be the last divine reminder, the last call before the point of no return. Don't ignore what God is trying to say right now. This content is not just another video. It is a spiritual summons. It's as if the Holy Spirit Himself was using every word to reach tired, distracted, lost hearts. People like you who may even believe, but are spiritually asleep. Billy Graham was always direct. Eternity is closer than we imagine. So stop, breathe, listening. What you're about to hear could change everything. Or it can be ignored, as so many have done. But what if it is like you? And if this is your last chance to reconnect with eternal purpose? So if you feel this tightness in your chest, this restlessness that you can't explain, don't ignore it. Maybe it's God calling you back. Maybe it's the Holy Spirit trying to reach your soul before it's too late. It's no coincidence that you got here. Someone prayed for you. And now, it's you who needs to take action. If this message is touching you in any way, write in the comments, "Come back, Lord." Don't be ashamed. This simple gesture can be the beginning of a new chapter in your spiritual life. Here, we pray for each other. You are not alone. Each name you comment on is placed before God in intercession. Yes, we will pray for you, in truth, because this isn't about views. It's about souls. Maybe you are distant from the faith, hurt by leaders, disillusioned with the church, but God's call remains alive. And today, He is calling you by name. So leave a note in the comments that you want to return, that you want to start over, that you are looking for direction. God honors attitudes of faith. If that word spoke to you, leave your like, not because of the algorithm, but to show that you listened. And subscribe to the channel because every day we are here to remind you that there is still hope, that there is still purpose, that God still speaks to those who want to listen. Activate the bell because the next message may be even more direct to your soul. You were not made to survive. You were made to fulfill an eternal purpose. And this video could be your turning point. But the choice is yours. You're here, watching this now, maybe with your cell phone in your hand, maybe on the headset as you try to distract yourself from another tiring day. On the outside, you're up and running, working, sorting out what needs to be done. But inside, how many parts of you have died and no one noticed? You smile on social media, you say it's okay when people ask you, but deep down, you feel like something essential got lost along the way. And maybe you don't even know how to explain what it is. How many times have you woken up with a heavy heart and gone anyway? How many times did you put a smile on your face just so no one could notice that your soul was tired? It's as if there was a distance between what you live and what you know that God once called you to live. Billy Graham said firmly, "The greatest failure in life is to succeed in things that have no eternal value." Is this what is happening to you? A life full on the outside and empty on the inside? It's scary how we get used to the noise of routine and forget to hear God's voice. The rush, the bills, the pressures of life, the family's expectations. Everything seems more urgent than prayer, than the search for presence. And little by little, without realizing it, you move away. It gets colder, and one day he wakes up and asks himself, "Is God still with me?" You try to keep your faith alive, go to church when you can, sing songs that talk about faith, even post verses, but the truth that only you know is that praying often seems like an effort. Reading the Bible feels empty, praising seems automatic. What was sacred became habit. And the worst part, all of this has become normal. But it's not normal to live like this. It is not normal to serve a living God with a dead heart. It's not normal to carry a calling and live as if it were just a detail of your story. You know that feeling of being present but not whole, of being part of everything but not belonging to anything. It's as if you've lost your essence, lost your way. And do you know what is most painful about all this? It's knowing that you already had more. He's felt more. He was once closer to God. And now, you feel like you're far away, even though you're trying to do everything right. Maybe you are at this exact stage, a phase where everything is working, but nothing makes sense, in which your days pass as if they were on autopilot. You wake up, work, resolve, get tired, sleep, and start again. But your soul keeps screaming for something that the eyes can't see, that others don't understand. You feel guilty for being like this, but you also feel unable to get out of it on your own. And here's a truth you might need to hear clearly. The pain you feel today could be the voice from heaven trying to wake you up. It could be God allowing everything around you to be uncomfortable, just to remind you that you weren't made to survive this routine. You were made to live with purpose, with direction, with peace. Billy Graham preached that God's silence is often not absence. It's an invitation, a call to draw closer, to depend, to return to the center of His will. And maybe this silence that bothers you so much is, in fact, the chance that heaven is giving you to rediscover the flame that once burned inside your chest. How many times have you prayed and felt like your words hit the ceiling? How many times have you asked, God, where are you? And all you got was silence. It's difficult, I know. It hurts to keep believing when everything seems silent. But listen to this. God is not silent because He abandoned you. He is silent because He wants to teach you to trust. Because He knows that sometimes, if He told you what you want to hear, you wouldn't understand what you need to live. True faith is not built when everything is clear. She grows up when everything seems dark. And yet, you keep walking. Billy Graham said, faith is put to the test when everything around you says give up, and yet you choose to believe. Maybe this is your moment now. The moment when heaven is testing your faith not to punish you, but to prepare you. Look around you. How many things have you achieved, but still feel this emptiness? How many dreams come true, but the soul remains restless? The truth is that you may be experiencing everything. The world calls success, but if you are outside of God's will, none of this will satisfy you, because there is only peace where there is purpose. And the purpose that God wrote for you is not small, it's not shallow, it's not routine, it's deep, it's transformative, it's eternal. But He does not force anyone to live this calling. He calls, He plays, He wakes up, but it's up to you to get up, to respond, surrender. Most people only realize that God was calling when it is too late. So listen carefully. Do not harden your heart. Don't ignore this restlessness you are feeling. Don't silence the cry of your soul with temporary distractions. There's something bigger going on here, something that goes beyond this video, something between you and the sky. And if you're here until now, it's no coincidence. It's called. It's an answer. It's God poking your soul, saying, son, I'm still here. Come back. I have more for you. It doesn't matter how far you've gone. The way back always starts with a step, a choice, an attitude. But before that, you need to recognize that you are far away. Who needs Him? Who is tired of living on appearance? Who is willing to start over? And when that moment comes, when the heart breaks, the whole sky moves. I want to invite you now to do something symbolic, but powerful. If you felt like this message spoke directly to you, comment below, "Come back, Lord." It doesn't matter how many times you've fallen, how many times you've tried and failed, how many wounds you carry inside. Just write, "Come back, Lord." Billy Graham said, "The greatest danger is not in rejecting God outright. It is in silently ignoring Him day after day." And this phrase, as simple as it may seem, is like a mirror that opens up the spiritual reality of thousands of people who are now, exactly like you, trying to understand why your soul is tired, why your heart is restless, why it feels like something inside you is asking for help. And perhaps the answer is this: it was not a lack of faith. It was an excess of distractions. It was allowing the voices of the world to drown out God's voice, to the point where his silence felt like abandonment. But in fact, it was the deepest calling you've ever received. How many times has God tried to talk to you in the little things? In the discomfort that came out of nowhere, in the door that closed without explanation, in the friendship that fell apart for no reason, in that strange feeling that makes you rethink everything in the middle of the night, and you pushed these sensations deep into your soul as if to say, I'll deal with it later. But time passed, and that after never arrived. Life kept running, and you with her. And that's why this message is so necessary. Because maybe this is the first time in a long time that you stop everything, the noise, the rush, the commitments, to simply listen. Listen to what God has been trying to tell you, not with thunder, but with silence, not with screams, but with absence. And it is in this void, in this echo of the heart, that he reveals himself most. Billy Graham was always direct when talking about the danger of spiritual apathy. He knew that the greatest enemy of faith was not visible sin, but invisible coldness. That coldness that slowly sets in, stealthily, like a fog that covers spiritual eyes. And the worst thing is that, most of the time, this coldness doesn't come from a major trauma, an absurd fall, a radical decision. It comes from small choices, of subtle concessions, from a prayer that we leave for later, from a cult that we miss out of tiredness, of a Bible that remains closed on the shelf, while the soul screams for direction. You can even continue doing everything right on the outside. You can go to church, you can sing in praise, you can post verses in stories, you can help people. But if inside you know that something has gone cold, something has been lost, then you need to recognize that now, before it's too late, before this coldness becomes insensitivity. And spiritual insensitivity is one of the most dangerous signs that we are moving away from God. Even if we continue within the Christian routine, God did not call you to live under anesthesia. He called you to live awake, and waking up hurts. Confront, because it takes us out of our comfort zone, because it shows that we are not where we should be. And all of this that you are hearing now may very well be part of this awakening. Maybe you are even bothered by this video. Maybe something inside is fighting every word I'm saying. This is normal. It is the flesh trying to silence the voice of the spirit. It's the mind trying to maintain control while the heart begins to melt. You know that quote from Billy Graham that says, "The greatest danger is silently ignoring God." Think about how many times you've put off something you knew you needed to do. How many times have you felt God calling you to pray, to fast, to forgive someone, to give up a hidden sin, but you just pushed, ignored, silently. And now you're here carrying this weight that you can no longer hide. Maybe you're tired of looking strong, tired of pretending that everything is under control, tired of trying to feed yourself spiritually with crumbs. God doesn't want you to just survive spiritually. He wants to restore you. He wants to start you over. But to do that, you will need to face the truth that hurts you, but frees you. You walked away. And no matter the reason, whether it was pain, disappointment, sin, or routine, what matters now is what you will do from that moment on. This is not a video to accuse you. It's a video to wake you up. And God only awakens those He still wants to use. The fact that you are hearing this now is the greatest proof that He has not given up on you yet, that His purpose in your life still stands, that there is a calling that continues to wait for you, but you need to stop pretending you didn't hear. Remember when you felt God's presence easily? When did you cry just hearing a song? When did I feel goosebumps just opening the Bible? It was no illusion. It was real, and you can come back. But He doesn't come back alone. Come back with decision, with regret, with delivery, with attitudes that show the sky that you no longer want to live on automatic. You may need to start by giving up some distractions. Maybe you need to get away from people who have been feeding the worst in you. Perhaps you need to go back to doing simple things that you missed along the way, praying sincerely, reading the Word as if looking for treasure, listening to preaching with hunger and thirst for God. Don't wait to be ready to do this. Nobody is. Start where you are, with what you have, with the faith that remained. Billy Graham said, God doesn't need perfection, He needs delivery. And that delivery starts now, here, not tomorrow, not later, now. Because time passes, life runs, but eternity doesn't wait. And what you do with this message can determine not only your spiritual destiny, but that of the people who will be reached through you. So if you're here until now, it's not because you fell by parachute. It's because heaven is knocking on the door of your heart. It's because the Holy Spirit is calling you to return, to rekindle what was once strong, to restore what seemed lost, to write a new story. And the only question that remains is, will you respond? If your life ended today, would you be ready to face the plan that heaven wrote for you? This question echoes in the soul with a weight that few people are willing to carry. Because the truth is that most people live as if they have unlimited time, as if each day wasn't actually a divine gift, as if eternity were a distant detail, when in reality, it is just a breath away. Billy Graham always preached about a sense of spiritual urgency. He knew, and said firmly, that every beat of our heart is a reminder that time here is finite, but the decisions we make in it echo forever. What if this is the last video God allowed you to watch, to change your story? What if, amidst so much empty content, this is the exact moment when heaven decided to intervene, not as punishment, but as mercy, not to scare you, but to wake you up? Because maybe what's at stake now isn't just a life change. Maybe it's your eternal destiny. Have you ever noticed how most people run all day long for things that have no eternal? Wake up, rush to work, meet goals, answer emails, take care of the house, solve problems, feed your anxiety with social media, get distracted by series, but don't stop, don't silence. It doesn't ask, God, what do you want from me today? And that's where the problem lies. Because a life without spiritual direction is like a boat adrift. It may even seem like it's going well until the storm arrives. And when the storm arrives, and it always arrives, there's no point in knowing how to swim. There's no point in having good looks, good contacts, a good salary. When chaos knocks on the door, only those who have roots in God survive. And roots are not created in a day. Root is formed in constancy, not secret, in the silence, on bent knee, in the open word, in obedience that no one sees. Billy Graham said that true faith is not built on stages, but in caves, in the moments when no one is looking, on the days when everything says, give up, but you continue, because you know you were called to something greater. Now stop and think. How many times have you felt that God wanted more from you, but you pushed it with your belly? How many times have you postponed the call, rationalized the discomfort, ignored the signs? How many times did you justify it with tiredness, with routine, with excuses that seemed logical, but that deep down only served to hide your fear of truly delving into God's will? Maybe today is the day to admit that you have been running away, not as someone who hates God, but as someone who is afraid of what they will need to give up, as someone who has heard the voice but preferred comfort, as someone who deep down knows there is a price to pay, and has been waiting for a more convenient time that never came. And meanwhile, life passed by. The days became the same. The soul was drying up. Faith was cooling down. The presence became rare. And you got used to it as if it were normal. But it's not. It's not normal to live far from the presence that once filled you. It is not normal to conform to a shallow faith, to automatic prayers, to a Christianity that no longer transforms. The sky is trying to wake you up. God is using this video, this message, this exact sequence of words to call you back. And if you're here until now, it's no coincidence. It's because inside, deep down, there is still a spark. There is still a part of you that refuses to accept living in the shallows. A piece that wants more, that needs more, who knows that there is something bigger waiting for you, and that time for it is running out. Billy Graham always said that the gospel is simple, but it demands a response. God doesn't force you. He invites you. He knocks. He calls. But the door, only you can open it. And maybe he has been knocking for years. Maybe you pretended not to hear. Maybe you even convinced yourself it was too late. But listen to this. If you're still breathing, it's not too late. If you are listening to this now, heaven is still investing in you. And that's fun. This is love. This is redemption. Do you have any idea what it means to be called by God? It's not just about attending church. It's not just about being a better person. It's to impact lives. It is to carry light where there is only darkness. It's supposed to be an answer where everything seems lost. And the world is desperate for answers. Families are broken. Young people are getting lost. People are killing themselves, smiling on the outside and dying on the inside. And God wants to use you. Yes, you. With your mistakes, your falls, your traumas, your limitations. Because the strength of the gospel does not lie in those who are perfect. It's in whoever surrenders. So answer me honestly. If your life ended today, what would you say to God? Who lived what He called you to live? Who used your gifts, your influence, your voice, your story to glorify Him? Or that it was postponed? What resisted? Who preferred comfort? This reflection is not to condemn you. It's to wake you up. Because there is still time, but not as much as you think. What if this is the last chance heaven is giving you to escape spiritual indifference? What if this is the last word before the turning point in your story? What if this video is literally the final breath of mercy before something is allowed into your life to bring you to your knees? God can reach you through love, but if necessary, He also reaches through pain. And the choice is yours, if you've made it this far. I want to ask you something simple but powerful. Comment below. I heard the call. Write with intention, truly, with regret, if necessary, hungry for God, and if you feel like you need prayer, if you are stuck spiritually, if you know you are far from the presence of God. Comments. Pray for me. These comments will not be ignored. Here we truly pray, name by name. Every word will be taken up in clamor, because this channel is not just content, it is a spiritual battlefield, and you are not alone. If this message woke you up, comment, "Come back, Lord," not as someone who just writes something on impulse, but as someone who is making a decision before God, a decision that does not depend on your strength, but on your dedication. Because there are times when we need to recognize that we can no longer continue pretending to be strong, where there is only tiredness, where there is only emptiness, where the soul screams, but the mouth is silent, where faith no longer burns, it only survives. And perhaps you are right there now, in that spiritual limbo between what you have already lived with God and what you still don't have the courage to live again. But even if you walked away, even if you stumbled, even if you kept silent, God still hasn't given up on you. Billy Graham said that God's grace is greater than our sin, greater than our fear, greater even than our resistance. And it is exactly this grace that is reaching you now, through this word. No matter how deep you've fallen, no matter how dirty, unworthy, or far away you feel, God's plan still stands. Yes, He still has a plan for you. And perhaps you need to write now, in faith, even if the faith is small, "I accept my calling." Accepting this calling does not mean understanding everything. It doesn't mean being ready. It just means you're willing. Willing to be shaped, willing to start over, willing to stop running away, willing to put aside justifications, fears, comparisons, willing to live what heaven wrote before you were even born. What is at stake here is not just content. It's not just another video you'll watch and forget. What is at stake here is your eternity. It is the eternity of those who will hear your voice, will be touched by your testimony, will know Jesus through your new beginning. Maybe you think you failed enough. That wasted too much time. Who got involved with things that God could never forgive? But let me tell you something with all the love and truth possible. There is no hole so deep that God's hand cannot reach. And if you're still alive, it's because there's still time. There is still purpose. There is still redemption. The problem is that we have learned to trivialize the word called. Many people think that calling is only for pastors, missionaries, and those at the altar. But calling is not about position. Calling is about obedience. It's about doing what God has placed in your hands faithfully. It's about being a light where no one wants to shine. It's about being an answer where everyone only has questions. It's about carrying God's presence in environments where He has been forgotten. Have you ever thought that maybe your calling is exactly where you feel pain today? That your process, your fall, your story, no matter how messed up it may seem, is being used by God to prepare you for something you can't even imagine yet? Billy Graham said that God never wastes pain, and if there's something you went through, something that marked you, something that almost destroyed you, maybe that's what God will use to reach other people, to heal, to teach, to lift. But for that to happen, you need to go back, return to the place where everything made sense, return to the voice that calmed your heart, return to the word that fed your faith, return to the presence that was enough, return to the cross that gave you life, because away from her, everything becomes colorless, without strength, without truth. And the more you try to fill that void with other things, the more frustrated you become. Life goes by quickly. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, months into years. And if you don't stop now, if you don't listen to what heaven is urgently saying, you may continue living, but inside, you will continue to die. And spiritual death is the most dangerous of all, because she is silent, she is slow, and when we realize we've already lost what was essential, you may even have everything in order abroad, but only you know what's going on in there. Only you know how many times you cried in secret. Only you know how many times you thought about giving up. Only you know how many prayers were stuck in your throat because you didn't have the strength or words. But God also knows. And yet, He still calls you. He still believes. He still sees value. He still sees the future. He still sees you as His son, as a daughter, as His instrument. And maybe all He wants today is for you to recognize that you need Him. Stop hiding behind the masks that life taught you to wear. Take off the cloak of religiosity, performance, everything is fine, and say, Lord, I need to go back. Because returning is more than a choice. It is a cry from the soul. It's a cry for redemption. It is a cry for help that He always hears. This video was not made to be pretty. It was made to be true. It was made to reach the depths of the soul, to confront, to shake, to make you stop, think, and respond. Because ignoring God's call is the greatest tragedy of a life. You can achieve everything the world says is important, but if you ignore what heaven has asked of you, you will live incomplete, frustrated, and spiritually lost. If you've made it this far, it's because this message spoke to you in a way that human words cannot explain. Maybe you felt the presence of God confronting you, calling you, waking you up. And if that happened, don't ignore it. If you felt God's voice in this video, subscribe to the channel. Now, this isn't just about content, it's about spiritual direction. Here, each video is an extension of what the sky is shouting for this generation. And if you want to continue listening to God's voice, sign up, activate the bell, because what's coming could be exactly what you need to stay strong. Now, if you stayed until the end, and I know not everyone makes it this far, comments on the phrase, I will not ignore the call. Write this with authority. Show heaven and yourself that you heard, understood, and are willing to obey. This declaration will mark this moment. It will be like a spiritual memorial. It will show that inside here, there is still a flame that has not died down. And since you've stayed this far, leave your like right now. Not just because you liked it, but because you were touched. Because God spoke. Because something inside you moved. And let YouTube understand that this type of content needs to reach more lives, more hearts, more sleeping calls. And, finally doesn't come out yet. There is a next video here on the screen that will continue exactly where this one left off. Click on it now. Let God complete what He started today. Because what He started, He will finish. Go there. I'll wait for you next time.